A Jmix exclusive.
Hello everyone, this is Jmix here with TupacNation.net, and in response to all your comments and inquiries, I've decided to release the last part of my interview with Kurt Kobane. I broke this into two segments for continuity. In this final part of the interview, we talk about Death Row going to the Bahamas, the Bootlegs first hitting, and Kurt finding out that they had found MOB. I do appreciate all my YouTube subs and subscribers, and without further ado, here's the final part with Kurt Kobane. Can you tell us about Death Row leaving Can-Am in California for Compass Point Studios in the Bahamas? Is it true that they moved the whole label there?
Yeah, we were moving everything over to the Bahamas just to get away from all of the BS. This was 96. This was like November. We had like albums set to go. Actually, we were going to finish up Danny Boy's album. We finished up a Christmas album, which did come out. And Death Row Greatest Hits, I believe, some parts of Death Row Greatest Hits was created, was done over there. So, yeah, the whole thing was being moved. The equipment was being shipped over there. All the reels were over at the Bahamas. And Can-Am was completely dead.
In 1997 to 1999, when the bootlegs started to come out, how did you feel when you first heard that people were bootlegging this material?
It was kind of weird because, a lot of those songs I hadn't even heard myself because I didn't realize he was recording that much. He's at the studio. They're doing 3, 4, 5, 6 songs a day. You didn't hear them all. But I was kind of amazed that people had access to that stuff. I wasn't surprised because, like I said, I know people had went and got reels and, there were DATs laying around sometimes, and I just didn't understand how much stuff was getting leaked. Like, there was, like, Volume 1, then next thing there was number 2, there was, like, really 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, with all different material on there. And I was always waiting for MOB. I was like, when the fuck is MOB going to leak? That's when I knew something was weird. Like, that reel is hid because nobody had access to that.
For the longest time, fans thought it was a rumored song. It was not until much later in the album coming out that we actually hear the original.
Really?
Yeah, fans on the internet had compiled a list of rumored songs, and, well, some of us anyway, never really knew if this was a real song until it came out. It was rumored.
Right, I was supposed to do 6 songs on that until the end of time, but and Daz can verify this because I met Daz out in New York at the studio that I was recording with the group that I got signed to Universal, and that was a weird situation again because the person that was running the label Death Row actually didn't even tell me that I was supposed to do 6 songs on the album. They tried to keep me from finding out the information. And because I was just, a cool dude, somebody at Interscope actually told me, like, dude, we got MOB up here. And I'm like, oh, y'all found it? They were like, yeah. And they was like, but guess what? Your label is trying to say you didn't even produce it. And I'm like, what? It's like, wait, my own label is saying that I didn't produce it? It's like, yeah, we had to pull out the track sheets and there your name is signed. You know what I mean? Like, and then there was people verified, like, yeah, Kurt did that.
What other songs would fans be surprised that you produced for Tupac while working at Death Row Records?
The Bad Boy Killer video would be the main thing. I wish I could go through the reels. I could probably find it before anybody else can find it. Because, we recorded so much material, and it was, forgotten about.
Now that Wideawake has basically tanked and fell upon its own sword, it no longer holds distributing rights and is being bought out. Will you try to get in with the new company and see what you can do about finding some of these songs and perhaps even adding some production?
Yeah, if they were smart, I told Wideawake the same things, you know what I'm saying? I told them, how to find stuff, and they just didn't pay attention to shit. You know what I mean? They wanted me to come in. I even told them I had Dr. Dre's drum sounds from that era of music that I can go in and tighten up a lot of the sounds that, because a lot of stuff was like how we would do it. We would like lay down a dummy track, and then you go back in and tighten up the drum tracks and stuff like that. I was going to tell them about the process, and I can go in and fix a lot of that shit. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to pay nobody. If they wanted you to do it, they want you to come do it for free.
What is next for Kurt Kobane?
Next for Kurt Kobane is my label, Hit Asylum, which I'm running it with a partner, Kevin Dave. But it's like it's a label, it's a production company, with film, TV, music placements, and this book deal. But this book is not going to be, geared upon the negative of death row, because nobody talks about. One thing nobody's ever talked about was the creative process of how we made hit records. Nobody has been able to do what we were able to do with records, you know what I mean? And like Dre's secret, Dre don't talk, so he's not going to write a book and tell you his secret techniques and stuff like that. And I learned them, you know what I mean? Like I was a student of everything while I was at Death Row. It was like college. I'm there with some of the top engineers. I'm learning exactly what knobs to turn, how did Dre do this? That stuff is invaluable information. I was around Jimmy Iovine, stuff that he does today. I know what he's doing, even how he runs Interscope. And then the stuff that should, taught me and schooled me on in the music business. I mean, all this stuff is invaluable. You can't get this information anywhere, and I'm going to put it in a book.
Hello all, it's Jmix again. I just want to thank you for viewing my video and listening to the interview. The final part is not over. If you look in your left-hand corner, there's going to be a link that's going to send you to part 2 of our final part with Kurt Kobane. One love, everybody.
A Jmix exclusive.
Whatever, shut up.